We want to speak about tech and AI and the impact it has had and will have. AI adoption is up 250% in the last 3 years.
From our experiences, like what we've been able to do with relatively green recruitment experience to come out and start our own agency that's been nominated for local business awards in its first year, I don't think we can do that without the tech stack that we're using. It's had a massive, massive impact on what we've done today.
If I'm a CFO, good sized company, how is AI going to help me? Or what can I do to make sure I benefit the most from AI?
I think in the recruitment world, $1 million biller across a year is the mecca. To become $1 million biller in our periods, it's 78K or 76K a period. Last period, Adam Powell billed $177,000. We are sharing this to show people the impact that this industry can have on people's lives.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Two Blokes, One Business with Pally and Half.
Pally and Half.
People know us now, mate.
Yeah.
Now they get to know the real us.
First name basis.
Proper.
Fuck
And then we
yeah.
got Crowley and Irv. They're the alter egos.
Let's not talk about those guys. Those guys will be under wraps, let's say, until your Bucks actually in America.
Yeah, that'd be good.
You're so he tries not right. We're going on his Bucks in July. It's going to be an absolute belter. Like 8 days in America. Anytime you try and talk to him about it, he just fobs it off because I know what he's like. You get too excited too early and he won't do any work until we go.
I'm the worst for it as well. Like if I get super excited now, by the time it comes, that's going to 10x. So I'm going to...
and then maybe like by the time we got into 100x that shit.
So I've got to play it cool, but...
fair enough.
Mate, as a bit of a recap, what was going on last time? I think last time we spoke about you not getting the house from memory.
Mate, I can't even remember. All the days blur into one.
It was a while ago. Well, let's talk about it now because there's some cool shit going on.
Yeah, a bit of a recap.
Speaking of being cool, you look fucking cool, mate, in this new Harwell merch.
I'll try and see if the camera can get that.
That looks so smart.
That is the new Harwell branding.
So, mate, talk us through why Harwell dot.
So Harwell was always going to be the name. It was hard to pick that. It took us way longer than what it should have, but we needed a word to go after it. So at the time, we felt that consulting was right because we wanted to build like a prestige brand, kind of have that high level around the name. But back then, the plan was always to drop it at some point, wasn't it?
I thought 5 years would have been about right. Like I just thought it's going to take that long for people to actually know who we are, rather than have to explain, hi, I'm Adam Powell from Harwell Consulting. We're a recruitment agency based on the goal.
That is me. I'd hang up on you.
Well, that's what happens.
Yeah, it was always the plan. We wanted to be known as Harwell. And I think through the ex-recruiter community, we've been known as the Harwell boys. Even our clients now and our competitors, when they talk about us, it's just Harwell. So we felt the time was right to drop the consulting. We still have consulting as a division, but the overarching brand is going to be Harwell. We'll do an official launch, but we kind of felt the time was right. And we've gone and got a load of new merch as a result of it. This hat's also new and I fucked up, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the HC. So I think I'll just put it down as like a bit of retro vintage gear, I think.
Yeah, I didn't actually think about that. In 10 years' time, all the stuff we got now will be collectible items.
Yeah.
They'll be no longer getting made.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we still work for Harwell Consulting because what we do is on the consultant side, right? Andy and Chloe, for example, they're labour hire.
Yeah.
So it's still right.
Yeah, it's still right. But that was awesome. We got obviously a few new team members. So everyone's kitted out in merch now. We don't like the traditional recruitment outfit. Like everyone's kind of bowling around in streetwear. Obviously, you got the smart stuff when you need to go on client meetings, but it's cool. Everyone looks the part at the moment.
I get good feedback on it as well. Like people like the fact that I rock up in a t-shirt and like some cool cargo pants that I'm rocking these days.
I never thought I'd see the day Adam Powell refers to himself as cool cargo pants.
I'm just a cool cargo guy.
Wow.
But yeah, I think they're just so sick of dealing with the robotic suit wankers.
Yeah,
and don't get me wrong, there is industries, and you're probably in it in finance, where that is still the uniform, right? It's still, you've got to kind of look the part. In construction, if you're not on site wearing your site gear, like you're pretty much wearing a polo.
Yeah, do you know what though? I don't think I am, because I'm in the commercial finance world. Like a lot of the CFOs I meet, like they're legends. Like, I think there's this stigma around, I think there's public practice accountants where it probably is a bit more kind of high level professional services, maybe different, but the CFOs, like they're just, once you get to know them, all they want to do is go out for a few beers on a Friday with you.
Just normal people.
Yeah, who'd have thought? So that was catch up number 1, mate. What's number 2?
The next one is Harv's big run. Now, if you haven't been following on Strava, you're missing out. The guy's been knocking them out for fun. So he's got a Gold Coast Marathon coming up in July, which is 42.2 kilometers. Absolute monster. So, man, you're knocking off 28, 30 Ks every Sunday at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, 28 yesterday.
Shit.
Yeah. It was, I don't want to get too carried away with myself, because on race day it can be very different. I've got a newborn coming very, very soon. So I'm probably going to be doing the actual race on not much sleep. True. So I don't want to get ahead of myself and pump myself up too much. But yeah, yesterday was fucking fast.
All I could hear down the Gold Coast Highway. You got a few speeding tickets.
Yeah, I think if anyone saw a bold flash go past them along that kind of coastal path or road yesterday, it was probably me.
Don't be like
it wasn't Riley Hunter, because he chose to stay in bed. The lazy bugger.
He would as well.
Yeah.
But nah, mate, it's pretty impressive what you're doing. I think we spoke on a couple of episodes ago about, fat little piggy who obviously couldn't run 5Ks.
Yeah.
So now being the marathon man is some transformation.
Do you know what, mate? It's quite funny you say this, because around yesterday, like 23, 24 Ks, it was starting to hurt. And everyone says on marathon day, it's all about tapping into your kind of mental game and your emotions rather than the actual physical fitness. And I just thought, I'm going to test this. So I just dialed in to all of the people that called me a fat little piggy or a fat goalie along the years. And whew, mate, you just fly.
Job done.
It's a big thing. So thank you to those people.
And that definitely motivates you as well. You definitely have a chip on the shoulder kind of person. If anyone's ever said you can't do something, you're like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
Mate.
So childish, isn't it?
It is, mate.
It works.
You got to grow up, to be fair.
Yeah, fair enough. The last update. Now, I've worked alongside this fella called Adam Powell in recruitment for a number of years now, and I've seen him do some pretty impressive things. But this period, and a period for us is a 4-week sales cycle. So within 4 weeks, he has just put in the biggest period I've ever seen in recruitment. Now, we are not sharing this as a brag, although as would go, yeah, actually, I'm a sicko. No, but we are sharing this to show people the impact that this industry can have on people's lives, because when you get it right and when you make it your craft, it is quite literally life-changing. Now, in the recruitment world, $1 million biller across a year is the mecca. And I think to become $1 million biller in our periods, it's 78K or 76K a period, across something 13, like that.
Yeah.
Across 13. Last period, Adam Powell billed $177,000. That is fucking outrageous.
That's the right word for it. And it's crazy. You don't even see it as real world numbers, right? Like you see that, and recruitment numbers are very different to the numbers you've got in your own bank when you go and buy a coffee. That's $5, right? Sweet. So it's hard to kind of fathom and put into perspective. And Harv said, let's share what you've done. I'm like, I don't want to come across as a wanker, but the reason I was like, fuck it, let's just do it, is because when we were 2-3 years ago, that would have inspired me to see someone who's gone and put those kind of numbers on the board, and then seeing what that can do for family, business, whatever else. That's the reason we're kind of reluctantly getting precise with figures and stuff. A pat on the back is always lovely, of course, but it's really, that's the level you can get to, right? With all this shit we'll talk about today, actually it's probably a nice segue into about freeing up time so you're doing more of what you're good at rather than getting bogged down in the weeds.
That's what's achievable in this space. And again, it's not a brag. Like I had to make him let me share that today, because we're doing this podcast to inspire people. What inspired us to start on this journey, which we know we take our foot off the gas, it could end at any moment. So we don't think we've made it by any means. But what inspired us was hearing other people's stories, and not their story of I just worked for someone, now I'm successful. Like the micro of that story, the money they were making, what it meant, the impact it had on their lives. And I think it's really important to share that with people, because if one person listens to this podcast episode today, and it's the nudge they need to go and just take a plunge and change their life and their family's lives, then this is an hour well spent.
Bang on. And I guess a little disclaimer, I've got Jackie obviously working with me as well, so it's definitely a team effort to get to that kind of number. But outside of just purely manpower, mate, let's segue into the episode for today. So we want to speak about tech and AI, and I guess the impact. The impact it has had and will have. We are definitely not experts in this space at all. What we're going to try and share is research we've done on what was the state of play in business and in recruitment in terms of tech and AI, how we're using it, what it's helped us with, what we're trying to implement and go further with, and then where we think actually the future is with this, because it's definitely the kind of thing where if you're not on the boat, you're getting left behind.
Yeah, I think I am an expert in tech. I recruited an IT manager role the other day.
Yeah, true.
And filled it, and he's fucking good. So
I think you're an expert in recruitment, mate, not tech.
Oh yeah, so kick us off then, mate.
So what is business in there today? So we did some research using AI, would you believe it, to find out through stats and figures. $4.7 trillion will be spent in 2025 on technology within business.
That's a couple more big periods for you, mate.
So how many billions is that half?
Well, I think you get 1 billion and then you just buy a few more billion and then just 10x that.
So that's 4,700 billions, to put it into perspective.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. So that's a massive number on tech alone, which just goes to show if you're only ever interested in money, that's where the money's going. So follow that. If you're interested in all the other things we're talking about, lifestyle, balance, everything else, still go that way as well, because that's going to help you get there.
I'd be keen to see what's going to happen in the tech recruitment space, because I think around COVID, maybe before I came into the recruitment world, it was pumping and it seemed like it was a bit of a gravy train. Now, I know it kind of, with the introduction of AI, it did drop off a little bit. I wonder if it will swing back.
I think it's changed a lot. So I think a lot of the tech roles were coders. And again, we haven't got a fucking clue what we're talking about here, but I think it was like coders and developers and stuff, which I do think now is what our friend ChatGPT does for you in a second. Obviously, you need someone to manage the output to make sure it's accurate and everything else. But rather than someone bashing the keys and typing in all this programming stuff, it just gets done for you now, and you just manage the quality of it. Yeah,
so I think there'll be an influx of roles again, but I think it'll just be different.
More high level, I reckon.
Yeah.
Or you thinkers rather than you doers.
Yeah.
Is my take. Another stat for you is AI adoption is up 250% in the last 3 years, which everyone feels that. I think everyone hears AI all the fucking time. You know it's coming. Some are probably a bit scared of it. Some are probably embracing it. We're probably sat just over the embracing it side of it. It's still a long way to go. That I can see that being another 250% in the next year.
Yeah, most definitely. I think like what it allows people to do, and even from our experiences, like what we've been able to do with relatively green recruitment experience to come out and start our own agency that's been nominated for local business awards in its first year. I don't think we can do that without the tech stack that we're using. Like I remember when we were an agency, a lot of the people that had, you hear about the odd few that have gone out on their own and made it work in the past. They're normally like 10 or 15 years in the recruitment game in a big global, and they've been up to director level. And I think that's what you were just made to believe, that you needed to spend that time with an agency to go and do it, because I think the power was with a lot of the big agencies around those massive candidate databases. But with the tech stack now, everything's so much more accessible. I think it's had a massive, massive impact on what we've done today. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we'll be 5 years behind where we are if it was 20 years ago. I think we had to build out a database from scratch. We had to build a website, probably ourselves as well. Even the sourcing side of it, obviously there's programs that we have in place that make that so much easier than it was. So it really comes down to, rather than spending all your time doing the grunt work of building out lists, you can actually just do what actually makes you money and get on the phone and speak to people. That's the difference.
Yeah, and we will dig into, as kind of the second pillar today, we'll dig in heavily to how Harwell is using it. But just a kind of overview, it's difficult for us really sometimes to look at business figures in terms of performance metrics, because we're going off older figures where the industry's changed so much in the last year or two. You look at your levers for performance, like your dollar value per head count. It's really hard for us for what we're pitching off, because as a business now, I feel like we're so much more efficient and lean. And the numbers we're pumping out now with a team of 8, only 7 of which are actually recruiting, and Rose is obviously a marketer. I think they're pretty decent compared to what we've always known in the past.
Yeah. And it's scary, isn't it? If you were more of that C-level player who's there just to get by and fill a gap, they're the kind of roles that are getting chewed up and spat out by AI. And if you're just there just to punch numbers into a spreadsheet, sorry, mate, that's going to be done way better and way quicker than what you can by ChatGPT.
Yeah. And one thing that shocked me is that 77% of small businesses have reported increased productivity from tech investment. So it's leaning quite heavily to your smaller players. I think your bigger guys have always invested quite well in tech, like a lot of the big companies we recruit for, like billions of dollars of revenue. They've always pumped big money at these huge ERP systems that kind of go across the business. And probably that's probably why they had the power in the past, because they were the only companies that could invest in these massive platforms that would service the whole business. Whereas now there are some smaller platforms where the barrier to entry is probably a bit lower, and some of your smaller businesses are able to kind of come to the party and go, let's see what we can achieve.
Well, there's a report done that we saw the big 3 or 4 recruitment agencies across the world. So your big like household names who do recruit globally and across all different sectors, right? Their revenue is down 10 to 15%, profits down, 15 to 20%. Like all these metrics are down. And that's based on last year, which was also a difficult year as well. So if we looked at a 2-3 year period, you're probably talking 30, 40% as a whack from where they were in that kind of post-COVID gravy train. So that's massive impact. And this is the one that I really enjoy. So if your recruiter spends 60% of their time on non-revenue generating tasks, right? So that's admin stuff. It might be mundane things that you've got to do. So when you are doing the revenue generating tasks, you can have more impact, right? So if you're billing 500K a year, which in recruitment is typically the benchmark, you are a good recruiter.
Yeah,
you know what you're doing.
You're doing well.
You're making good money. Life's good. Yeah. With that remaining 40%, right? If you can increase the overall output of your 100 by 20%, that's half that billing number on top again. So that really means you can add 250K on top of your 500. So just by getting 20% more of your time spent on revenue generating tasks, you're doing $750,000.
That's it. So that's for an extra 20% of your time client facing, on the average and the mean data, you put an extra 250K into your pocket or the business's pocket across the year. I think the tech investment or the AI investment to buy you back 20% of that time would be fucking fractional.
Literally.
On that 250. I reckon 10 to 15K.
Yeah, at most. And I think then it also plays into, you probably enjoy your job way more as well. If you're not just swept behind the laptop, just tapping keys and putting in data into the CRM, you're actually out there schmoozing clients, speaking to candidates and networking. That's normally what you get in to recruitment for, is to do that stuff. So it's a double whammy. We're all for it. Bring it on. Hey, let's have it.
Let's go. Now, let's talk about, mate, what you're talking about your time. And we talk about time here. Okay, that recruiter buys back 20% of their time and they can put more money through the door. But it's not always as simple as that, right? You want to sometimes buy back time. And you said a great thing the other day. I can't remember who we were talking to, but it was about systems and procedures. And you said, well, look, if I can buy myself back 20 hours a week, because we're working quite big weeks at the moment, I want to put 10 back into the business and put 10 back into myself. And that kind of really stuck with me, because obviously I've got kids and stuff like that. And I was, it was Jimmy Carr, I think. I was watching a video from Jimmy Carr, and he tells a story that this fella back in like the 60s and 70s, a guy called Warren Farrell, right? He was like a bit of a psychologist, worked with super high performing people. And he tells a story where he worked with this super successful business owner, like absolutely cracked it in their industry, incredible man. And this man came to him and said, the one thing I regret is I've got all these millions, I'm super successful, but the one thing I regret is I've got a 5-year-old child and I've not spent any time with that child. And they're like, I just don't have a relationship. And that was their biggest regret, even though they'd cracked the code at what they do. And they came to Warren Farrell for his help. And he's like, what are you going to do? So this person decided that for his business for the next 5 years, he was going to give it away. Just employed people, gave away all his net profits by employing people to run it on his behalf. And he had a second child on the way. And he goes, I'm going to take 5 years and just spend time with that child, right? How incredible. Like that time you can't get back. That super successful business person was John Lennon.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Now, the reason that story hit me so much is because he did that for 5 years with his second child. 3 years later, John Lennon was shot and killed. So imagine if he didn't. He was able to spend 5 incredible years with his family. And I think that's so powerful for business owners, because it's so easy for us to get swept up in business, and it is like an adrenaline high, right? You're like a junkie at times on the growth. It's like, yes, AI can really improve your business performance, but what can it buy you back as well?
That's massive. Like John Lennon rattled me then. I did not know that was.
Honestly, mate, I was watching the story. And Jimmy Carr tells it way better than I do. He's a super impressive guy. And when he said it at the end, I was just like, wow. John Lennon, one of the most impressive musicians of all time, the one regret he had, he'd have probably given away all his fame for that relationship with his first child.
It's so hard because we're kind of in the thick of it now, right? We've so much going on and we love it. We never stop texting, do we? Like we're actually obsessed with each other and also just with business and growth. Like if it's not text message, it's a LinkedIn. If it's not that, it's an Instagram fucking reel. Mate, look what this guy's doing. We need to do that. But I absolutely live and breathe it. And I think the time piece I know is difficult because there's only so much time in the week and then energy on top of that as well, right? Like it's not even just the time that we're working 60 hours a week. It's then when we're not working, we're fucked because we put all the energy into the business. So what I'm trying to get at here is the way we kind of justify that. And it is true. It's not an excuse, but it's to provide, right? Like we're doing this now and we see the hard yards now and we see all the growth being so we can get to a point where we can probably take a step back to some sense or get more people in the business to help run some of them more day to day. And then that's the time you can spend with your family. But what about if you get shot?
Fucking frightening, isn't it? Yeah.
What's the answer, mate?
I don't know. I think this episode's really timely because I think it can improve people's businesses, which in turn improves their lives and their family lives. But also, if you invest in tech and AI to buy back your time effectively. So let's go down that journey. But I think what you said there about the big hitters is really interesting. As I said earlier, we're in a very not unstable recruitment industry at the moment, but there's a lot of change happening and it's hard for us to know what to believe in and what not to believe in because we see these big reports of all the big guys that have dominated the industry for years, struggling, cutting headcount year on year, revenues down. But then we're sat here going, well, fuck, we're growing fast. We're up to 8 people in 2 years. We're looking at bringing on another 1 or 2. You kind of question yourself sometimes, don't you?
I would be naive is probably the question, isn't it? Like, are we growing too quick? But you know what? I think those revenue figures being dropped, I think that's, what's the word here? Yeah, that's kind of the end result. When we were in one of those environments, we could see the writing on the wall. It was a bit of a soulless place. No one was absolutely thriving. No one was at their peak optimum performance and going, let's absolutely have it. You kind of got yourself up to the level you needed to tick the box and make a bit of money. But no one in that environment is going, this is the place for me. I can see me reaching all of my dreams and goals here. And now obviously we're seeing the backside of that because the good ones who want that might have moved on. They've kept the guys who are just clocking in and clocking out day in, day out and probably not helping them achieve any goals. And that's kind of why you get to where you are.
I think entrepreneurship and creativity in those sorts of companies, and not just in recruitment, in any kind of big corporate, is really capped. Like yesterday we were shocked talking on a Saturday about a few other business ideas that we're discussing at the moment, and I think it was when I was on my run and like your brain's firing, and I was just like, wow, I just feel like I've had the shackles taken off. Like I came to people at our old employer and said, I've got better ways. I think we can do this. I've got more efficient ways. I think we can service people. And it was no, like this is the way we do it. Thanks, but no thanks. And I was like, fuck, imagine if they'd let us try or implement some of those. I'm not saying they'd have changed the whole business, but they might have kept us for longer because we were a little bit happier and we felt less contained. And a few other people might have learned from that. But just by that scarcity mindset would probably be the right thing.
Why do you reckon they don't let people do that? If you're in their shoes?
I don't know. I'm really mindful of talking negatively of them because we had great experiences and it's taught us what we know to get to kind of where we are now. But I think they want you to believe big corporate is the only way. And we were there. We had the blinkers on and it was, this is the way, there's nothing outside of these walls. You don't speak to your competitors. And I'm sure it's the same for an electrician maybe working for a big electrical subcontractor. It's the scare things, the overheads, the risk. What if the market changes? We're still going to be here to pay you a salary. And they put all of that stuff into your head and it does stop that creativity. It makes you fucking scared to go and make the jump on your own. But when you actually look at it granularly, if there is going to be a market downturn and we can only bill 30K a month as individual recruiters, probably better off doing that for myself. And, after our costs taking 75% of that rather than at 30K in agency, you might get $1,000 commission a month in your salary.
Fuck all. So what about today then, mate? What have we implemented? What's the state of play for us? And again, we're on the journey, right? There's a long way to go for us to get all this time that we keep talking about back here and have this nirvana of a business. What are some of the things that we're using? That's probably a good place to start, or that we are currently putting in place to help buy some time back.
Yeah. So I think in recruitment, especially, there's a couple of tools you need. You can never get away from doing that. And we've got a super CRM, which is called Loxo. I think American-based system. I think us and the partners within Recruit are probably the first to use it. Loxo, I think, even that first step of into Harwell was a game changer for us. I remember when we were first doing all the training videos and learning about it, we were going, holy shit, this is a game changer.
It was just so easy to use and it looked so nice compared to this big clunky thing that we've been used to the whole time. The AI part of that is cool as well. So you can essentially, for us in recruitment, you create the job brief and you set that up, and then it feeds you candidates who would be suitable based on paper. Obviously, that's half the battle. You've got to go and do the work after that to make sure they are. But even having AI in your CRM, like, it's just absolutely everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, and like the automation that you can use in there. And we say automation, you still have to write everything yourself. It still has to be Adam
We don't
Powell.
have to be fair.
Oh, fuck. Maybe I'm not using it properly.
Well, that's probably the other half, right? You can write it for you, but it does look quite AI-y.
Yeah, so we're obviously quite passionate. We still put the content in because they want it to be us authentic, but just the follow-ups. The amount of candidates that come back to us on jobs after the second or third scheduled follow-up, which we weren't doing previously. So imagine flipping this on the side of our clients, because we've got quite a high-performing CRM system. Our clients are probably able to access and bring into their business better talent, or a bigger pool of talent than what we were giving them before, because I'd say more than like 60% of our inbound leads on a job comes from that second or third follow-up.
Yeah, big time. I think people know you're serious. You're not just sending it to everyone, because that's quite targeted. Well, that's the idea, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're definitely right. That's the money maker. My favourite one at the moment is Quill.
Quill, talk to us about that.
Quill is kind of AI note taker, where we do our teams meetings, because we kind of recruit across Queensland, but also nationally as well. So we can't just fly down and see everyone, unfortunately. So when we have these Teams calls set up, Quill jumps into the meeting and then records the whole meeting, does a summary for you, and then it's also set up to then use that summary to upload straight into the CRM. So if I'm doing a meeting with Harvey Rivers right now, at the end of the meeting, that'll be wrapped up. That'll go onto Harvey's page in the CRM, which then can be accessed by the rest of the team. And it's all formatted in a systematic way. So there's consistency across everyone's meeting, and you can find exactly what you're looking for in the detail as well. Because rather than sit there writing your notes out, and you've got shit handwriting like me, you can't even read what you write anyway.
Yeah.
You can then actually just be really present and ask really deep questions, knowing that every single word's getting recorded and then spit back out to you at the back end as well.
Yeah. And what I love with these systems, they are what you make of them. And like, even going on a much deeper level with Quill, they have their generic recruitment-based templates, I guess, which, okay, you have a client meeting, you can select client meeting, and it will put them into a summary of notes that they believe it is right for a client meeting. We recruit very, very differently at Harwell. It's something we're constantly investing money into our process and refining it, and we rewrite it every 6 months because we're like, there's a better way to do it. But we've been able to upload our specific templates into the back end of Quill. And I don't mean our as Harwell, as in mine as e-com and finance, yours as construction. Even the trades and labour guys are able to upload their specific templates, so they can click a specific template and it builds notes based off their industry, their sector. So it's so niche, even the information for you, the information it picks up around projects, value of projects, how many stories, what's the sort of level of work we're doing? Is it high end? Is it not? Like that, it's just incredible. You walk away from a meeting, you have every single piece of information you've discussed, but within that meeting, you're able to give that client or that candidate such a better experience because you just have your full attention on them. You're not typing, looking down whilst they're talking at you and they're like, are they still listening? Like, it's just a conversation. And that's where even deeper level people open up and you get the real info.
Let's go quite granular with this, because the process we follow now, it's almost a bit of a cheat code, right? So let's go from the start. is you have a client meeting. We've got Quill there set up. We've got our job brief. We have this amazing meeting where we get into so much depth and detail about the company, the projects, the role, the expectations, the package, the interview process, key challenges for the first 30, 60, 90 days, all of this info, which is already a couple levels above where we used to be. Word for word, that's taken down perfectly. And then you chuck that transcript into the brief. Awesome. Then the brief goes for me to Jackie, who's then going to source the job. She runs the meeting. She can use that job brief into ChatGPT and get the candidate CV. What are the top 5 questions I need to make sure this candidate's right for this job? So straight away, rather than just your surface level questions, she's got detailed, specific, and relevant bits of things to ask to find the information to make sure the person's right. She then has the meeting, asks again awesome questions, gets really detailed feedback there. That goes straight back into the candidate template we've got, and then you can click kind of send to client, and that'll then format the whole email to go to the client as well. It's all stuff that needs to be done, but it's getting done way better than what someone could do it manually, and way faster as well. So I guess the question I'm trying to get to there is, what's the end result of that, would you say?
Just way better quality. Like I had a conversation with a client on the phone the other day, retained role, like we've probably submitted. It's a newly created role, so they're not massively in a rush. They're not feeling the pain of not having someone in the position. They want to really scope out the market. And he said, "Oh, mate, we've had 6 resumes so far, which for a general role is pretty good going. I just want to see more volume come through." And I was like, well, "We can definitely do that, but the reason you come in and paying me is so you don't have to sift through 20 shit resumes that aren't relevant. That's what I do for you." And because of the tech and the Quill, the database we've got in place, I can be so much more efficient and high level quality with what I'm giving them as a result of that. And I think we probably take it for granted and don't communicate that enough to our clients, because when we had this phone call, he was just like, "Oh yeah, that's actually a really, really good point." So I've probably, in a long-winded way, that's probably the answer I'm getting to, is just the service we can provide is so much better and so much higher, because people use recruitment's not cheap. People use it to either unlock a massive, massive increase in skill set or buy back a lot of their time. So we have to keep kind of making sure efficiency-wise we're giving them that. 100%.
And I think the elephant in the room about AI is obviously ChatGPT, right? That's the beast that everyone's using. Or trying to use anyway, and we're kind of on that journey too. We've been training ChatGPT like a fucking dog for the last couple of months. We're uploading all of the placements we do, or even the podcasts that we've done as well, so we can learn our tone of voice and how we talk, the sectors we're in, the target client personas. So we've got John, the construction manager for me. What's your fella called?
Paul, I think.
Paul, the CFO.
Paul, the CFO.
Perfect. Again, so when we are asking it for content, it knows who to talk to in terms of an audience as well. There's so much we're trying to do with it. What the end goal for that for me is it's like asking a team member of, "Hey, can you find me 10 ideas for LinkedIn this week?" And because they know us so well, they just spits it out as perfect. Again, back to time. I think everything we keep talking about here is all about putting more time back in your day, because then when you do that, you got more time doing the things that light you up, or hopefully generate your money as well.
Yeah. ChatGPT has been an interesting revelation, hasn't it? I think you had some of the early adopters, and I'd say us using it for content, we were reasonably early in a few senses. And in truth, it writes way better than what we do, because we're not copywriters. And the content pops off. And people are like, "Fuck, that's good. That's good. Adds nice stuff." And then I think everyone's using it, and it's become a bit more generic, and you can spot the posts a mile off. But then I think there's going to be another kind of stage to that. Everyone is going to use ChatGPT. If you're not, you're actually going to be falling behind. Let's all get comfortable with that everyone needs to use it and everyone should be using it.
It's like Google, right? Essentially.
Yeah, it's just a more optimized search engine, but it's still dependent on the person that uses it. The average people in the world are going to use it at an average capacity, and it's going to put your generic shit where you can go, bang, that's ChatGPT. You still have to prompt it. You still have to tweak. Like, I think when I do use it for content ideas, I go through 6 or 7 stages of refinement, and it's talk more impactfully, talk more database, talk to my client persona. It is still that level of person of how you manipulate it to actually get the right outcome. So people just need to get comfortable with that. Everyone's going to use it. but the people that are good are still going to stand out from the crowd.
A good way to use it, I think Kostog might have said this, it's about your blind spots as well. Say we're looking at to start kind of a new business essentially, right, on the side or kind of side. We can could be massive, but kind of side. So we're kind of putting our ideas into it, and we think we've covered every base, right? What are the risks? What are the opportunities? What are the threats? But we can put all our thinking into ChatGPT and say, what have I missed here? And then that's going to spit out all this context and stuff that we have no clue about, and give you things to consider, or reasons to scrap the idea, or reasons to actually make more, I guess, opportunity from it as well. So it's just having a mentor as well. Even it's having a mentor / an EA / therapist probably as well. Depends how you want to use it.
I'll go look at your history now.
A lot of tears. So that bigger picture item is just as crucial as your time saving tasks as well, in terms of, hey, can you find me 20 construction companies to call about a project manager? Okay, actually, this is the big picture strategy we're thinking here. What have I missed? What have I not considered? I think you can even use it for financial reporting. If you wanted to chuck our end of month report up there, we can say, what are some of the trends? Like it really could essentially become your work wife. Like you could do everything for you.
Yeah, it's such an interesting time.
Yeah.
Like it's come to the industry. It's going to ruffle feathers. It's going to disrupt and everything like that. It will kind of settle down, and it will be okay. The magic is still in the people and the human interpretation, and ChatGPT absolutely can refine and tell us some information about some financial results, but you still need a really high level CFO to interpret that into more storytelling to then present to the business. Like you can't have a robot sat there. Maybe one day we will, but yeah, it's just adapting, getting used to it. I think this is where us as Harwell being quite small really goes for us in the whole tech and AI debate, is because we see something new and we're able to adopt it and we're able to try it. And we're at a point financially where we can go, okay, let's try and invest 10 or 15 or 20K into this tech platform. If it works, brilliant. It could generate us hundreds of thousands. If it doesn't, that's okay. But we've got the money to do it. Because we're so small and agile, we're able to try these things. And maybe that's why, again, we're perhaps in some areas outperforming some of the bigger guys in the industry, because we can just be so quick and our speed to action just blows them out the water.
I think I really like what you said there about risk, right? Like we're happy to risk 10 grand, 20 grand to potentially generate a lot more down the track. And I'm thinking into construction now, where my world is based around as well. If you're a big tier 2 builder and you're doing $200 million a year, the risk of getting that wrong isn't just 10 or 20K. So AI has been quite slow to be adopted into construction. It's probably quite an old school industry anyway, in terms of how things are done as the way they always should be done. And it's brick and mortar. So you can really see the progress you make. It's a lot easier to look at that and go, okay, that's the right thing to do, rather than trust some computer screen, which might have all the plans on there and all the complex details as well. But I do see construction industry being one where, if you had the appetite for risk to really implement and drive it across a business, or you're a smaller company and you haven't yet got the established and mature processes, which are hard to change, you can have a massive impact. I think what I'm thinking coming to my head is kind of the plans themselves. I think they can build the full tale for you. Obviously, you've got to quality check that and make sure it's going to actually be built that way. Automations in terms of your meetings and your structures. I know the note takers are really powerful too. When you're having your PCG meetings, every stakeholder is involved. Note takers there taking every single word. So if you've got the assistant who's sat in the corner manually taking all the notes and probably doesn't understand some of the terminology, that's no longer an issue. That can then be sent to everyone. It's all on the same page. I'm thinking contractually as well. If you've got a really sticky contractual claim and you're not sure on the right thing, just go and upload that to ChatGPT and say, act as a world-leading commercial manager of expert contract law knowledge. What are my risks here? What are the opportunities on this contract? The world is literally your oyster.
Yeah.
There's obviously a bit of worry about confidentiality and all that stuff, and which is very valid. I'm sure there's a way to kind of work around that too, if you thought hard enough about it. Basically, if you want to find the yes, you'll find the yes. If you want to find the reason why it's too hard and too complex, you'll also find that as well. Yeah,
I think we could sit here and talk about it for hours, and the way we are using it, the way we can potentially use it, or ideas. We're no experts. I think our inexperience and our age in some sectors can go against you. But I think on this side of things and the new AI and the new tech coming in is a blessing in disguise.
Well, mate, if I put myself in your shoes, if I'm a CFO for a good sized company, like whatever it is, how is AI going to help me? Or what can I do to make sure I benefit the most from AI?
I think the one that you mentioned about the blind spots are really, really good, especially a CFO shouldn't necessarily be, they're not going to be doing financial reporting in terms of end of month, traditional end of month. They've got a team to do that. Yes, they have to review that and reflect on that, but a CFO should really be utilized to tell the story of the overall business and really spot new opportunities, new projects, new markets, and then also risk and spot the blind spots as well. So I think what you said about the blind spots, okay, this is a new business division or business model we're looking at building out. What have I missed? What should we consider? Like just some prompts like that. Again, I think they'll start to really dig into the why and have to interpret those blind spots, but it might just pop up a little prompt that saves you fucking millions and millions of dollars.
I love that. What else have we got, mate, for Harwell? I think we've pretty much covered ChatGPT, which is the main one. All the stuff we're using, the process improvements, massive. Where's the future, mate? Where do we get to, do you think, with this? Because everyone kind of pictures this future, right, where robots are walking around. People don't really get up from their laptop and the world kind of runs itself. I don't think I'll go that far, or hopefully not anyway. But I do see there being obviously still massive disruption for the next 5-10 years. I think if you looked at a graph of where we are with adoption so far compared to where it will be in 10 years, I think we're still pretty early on.
Yeah, like massively. Well, I think you should start with your point. You love, you've got a bit of a quote or a theory that you love, and I think it's really important.
We'd actually see in Bartlett's, mate, but don't tell him I've copied
Nah, we'll cut that bit out. It's Adam Bartlett's house.
So the more popular one thing gets in the world, the polar opposite normally gets just as popular too. So I guess the example here is the more popular AI is getting and automation and, not having to have so many stakeholders involved, whatever it is, the opposite of that is probably human interaction, human connection. So as life gets easier and quicker and faster and a bit more systemized and automated, people are going to lose that touch and the personal approach and the personality even of working together. So I think that's going to be just as important to maintain alongside AI. And I think the real winners are going to be people who don't just give their business to AI, but use AI to run the parts of the business which allow them to have more human connection.
I think there's so many levels to that. In business, yes, and at the top of the business with the stakeholders, 100%, but even at the bottom level of a business, like we've obviously had Katie come in and expand the team. Alana's back from holiday. So last week I've gone, okay, we need job flow in my team to increase just to make sure that everyone's super, super busy. Look at how much automation is available now to do outbound BD on emails, LinkedIn, and it's fucking shit, right? And I jumped on, I think I did like six or seven phone calls last week and got like 8 jobs on, something ridiculous, because whilst that automation is becoming so popular, the opposite of phone calls and actually going and connecting with people is something that's probably a dying art in the recruitment world.
It's probably difficult if you get into any business right now where outbound sales is a part of it. It's such an easy way out. Send the email, send a follow-up email and another one, send a LinkedIn message with a couple of reminders on to go again. Like their post on LinkedIn. There's so many ways you can actually do BD or pretend you're doing BD without actually doing it, rather than just pick up the phone, go and get a coffee and sit down and eyeball someone and truly understand where you could probably add value to them.
Yeah, and most of that outbound stuff goes into junk anyway,
100%.
Because so many people have got filters on, and we fell into the trap of utilizing it too much early on. But yeah, I think your point is a great way to kick this one off, mate.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the show. Now, while I got your attention, apart from being professional podcasters, we also run a recruitment agency called Harwell Consulting.
Yeah, we're super lucky that we get to partner with some of Australia's most well-known brands and biggest organisations. So if you're keen to hear a little bit more about how we add value to their teams and businesses with the right people, we'll put the links in the show notes, or you can check us out at www.harwellconsulting.com.au. Now enjoy the rest of the show.
So with all of this AI and what that does for in terms of systems and processes, I think what it really comes back to is you haven't got to be working at a big company to have massive impact. Like you can be a one-man band and you can still deliver results and generate revenue and I guess, driving of change by yourself with the right tools around you as a company with 10 people even, potentially?
Yeah, I think it's really going to change the recruitment industry. Obviously, we talk about that a lot because we're quite biased, but other industries as well. Like, the best way I can probably describe it is I think the recruitment industry will probably make a shift towards more like the real estate industry, where there are a lot more one-man band or self-employed operators out there. And I think the barrier to entry is already quite low, but I think it will even become lower again. Like, you think someone coming into the industry can partner with an ex-recruiter, streamline their back end of the business, and they can pump out 600 or 700K a year in billings with little to no overheads from their spare room. I think when you look at that as just one sentence, the industry is going to change, mate. Why would I sit and do 600-700K and have to operate within a certain framework and then maybe take home 20-25% of that at the end of the year, when I could go and implement a few things back of office, find a back office provider that will support me, and go and take most of it for myself? I'd love to see it bring more people into the recruitment industry, to be honest.
That's where I was going to go. And I think when we get the tech stack sorted, if there's becomes kind of a plug and play model, which ex-recruiter are, obviously, I guess, to an extent, where if I know I can sell something, if I can sell computers, really you can probably go and do recruitment too. There's a bit more moving parts, because that computer you're trying to sell can also tell you that, his dog's died and he's no longer going to the interview in recruitment. So there's a bit more to manage. But it's a service-based business, right? So if you're massive on a world-class service, doing the right thing by people, building a reputation, using your personal brand, you can go and plug in and play that into recruitment. And as we know, it can be very lucrative as well. So I think you're right. I think we'll see a lot more people coming into the industry, which is great, as long as they come in with the right intentions and the right values, which is good.
It needs to happen, man, because it's like, you speak to any recruiters. How did you get into the industry? I fell into it, right? You applied for a job, you didn't know what recruitment was. I didn't know what recruitment was, and you told me I should be doing this. But I'd love to see it where, a lot of people at the moment, remote high ticket sales as a profession, commission only, is very glorified, because you can work from anywhere and, earn 20 to 30K a month. Well, you can fucking do that with recruitment, mate.
100% you can,
instead of selling someone else's product or service, just sell your own.
Yeah, bang on. And you kind of, you keep going steps down the way then as well. I think the high ticket stuff is awesome, that you're having the same conversation 5 times a day, and then the next week again. You kind of never going past level 1. Not level 1, that's probably the wrong way to put it, but you never, the work you do on Monday doesn't benefit you on Tuesday, and then Tuesday to Wednesday. Whereas obviously when you run your own business, the work you do this week will hopefully generate your money, time, revenue, whatever it is, the week after as well. So you're always kind of building up to something, and recruitment's like that. The first phone call you ever make isn't going to make you $1 million, but that's going to set the wheel in motion to then do the second, the third, the fourth. And then when you speak to that first person again, you've got familiarity, you've got a bit of understanding. And then by the 10th time, you're having beers at Birdie Pav and your best mates.
Yeah. It's scary. Like, recruitment as a industry is probably, it's got a bad name for a lot of reasons, and even sales is a wider industry. Like, I think the old age, the Jordan Belforts and stuff like that, it's these sleazy salespeople pushing people into things, and it probably wasn't always an industry or role that was operated from honesty. I think that's changed now, but you look at all the most successful people in the world, like the richest people in the world, they're all salespeople. So, like, why are we putting such a bad name on a reputation that's producing some of the most influential and wealthy people in the world?
I think it's because there is bad people doing it as well.
Yeah.
Like, because there is money to be made, right? And if you learn how to influence people and persuade people, you can get them to do things that aren't in their right interests, which short term might make you a couple of bucks. But if you're in this for the long haul and you're building a business, you're never going to win. And unfortunately, the person on the other end of that then has that shit experience and gets a really bad feeling about what recruitment or sales is. I think people are a lot better at finding those people now and spotting them. I think when you speak to people, if someone's got your interests at heart, or if they're just trying to push you into a decision that helps them instead. There's people a lot smarter, I think.
Yeah, it definitely is. They definitely are. What do we got next, mate?
I think the good one here is that 83% of businesses having AI as a top priority for their operations by 2026. I wouldn't even know what the number is now. It's probably 30, 40, right? I think it's going to be a massive uptake in people using it to do what we've spoken about before in terms of give them more time, face time with clients, face time with customers, working on big picture problems rather than just being stuck in the weeds.
Yeah, it's huge. And it's kind of goes in line with the other stat that we've got here of the global AI market at the moment stands at 136 billion. No, sorry, in 2022, it stood at 136 billion. And by 2027, they see that going to 407 billion. Like that's
crazy figures. Huh?
That's crazy. And I had a conversation with a CFO of one of the largest organizations on the Gold Coast recently. And we both agreed, we think it's a scary time to be like an accounts officer. That, again, we talk about AI replacing roles. And whilst it won't replace a senior analyst or a senior financial accountant, CFOs, management positions, there is already AI tech out there that will do data entry. It will do reconciliations. It will pay invoices. It will even code them, cross-check them. It will even push up any potential fraud invoices. Well, there's a lot of people, like some of these big companies have teams of like 20 accounts officers. Like there's a lot of people at that level that will be coming into the market.
I guess it's no different to when cars were invented, right? And people who were breeding horses and training horses as transport, then were like, oh, fuck. People don't want to ride a horse anymore. They're going to sit.
The horses were buzzing.
They're going to sit in a car instead, which then obviously they lost their job. Whatever, I guess, examples would there be? People, the typewriter, there's a perfect one. People building typewriters, right? Great, is how we're going to communicate. Bang, a computer comes along, pretty much obsolete. I guess going back to the point before, people still use typewriters because it's the polar opposite of what's popular. Because they want that old-fashioned, traditional feeling. You know?
Yeah, and I think as you were saying that, I thought about vinyl records, right? Nice. They were the OG. We moved away to like your Spotify and your platforms, but vinyl records over the last 5 to 10 years are massively coming back in. Like they're huge now. And that will probably kind of go the same process with AI. I think it's come in, it's new, adapt. I think people will probably use it to replace humans. And I just think it will be like the life cycle of vinyls going out and coming back in, but in a lot shorter space of time. I think after a while, people will go, okay, brilliant. It saves us costs here, but AI can't do this higher level stuff that same human could, which now costs us money here. So how can we adapt and use it and find that middle ground? I think that's probably the process will go along.
Yeah, I love that. And another stat for you to finish up is there's going to be 97 million new jobs brought in by AI, but it's also going to wipe out 85 million, which is still a 12 million net gain. So it's positive for the world if you look at it purely in a number sense. But if that scares you, it's probably because you're going to be one of those 85 who are just doing the more mundane task, which can be replaced quite easily. And 95 that are coming in, 97, that are coming in, you've got to expect to be not necessarily just tech related, but how do you use the data from AI to then go and have impact?
That's what I was going to say. It's the 12 million net gain jobs by end of 2025. That's amazing. Like that's amazing. Lots of more opportunity. The worrying stat is the disparity between the 85 million jobs that we're going to lose, which might be your accounts officers, your admin people, which as a demographic are not the people.
True.
The 97 million new tech or AI jobs that might come in, they ain't the people. You're not going from an admin or accounts officer job straight into that job. It's probably the kids of the days coming through. That's where I think, although the net gain of jobs will be interesting, I think unemployment could potentially rise because the skill set trade-off and the skill set gap.
One thing we haven't touched on is education. I mean, Jack Delosa talks about this a fair bit in terms of his kid going through school now. If they're still teaching them algebra, what the fuck are we doing? One, we've never used it, right, outside of school. Yeah. What about in 10, 20 years' time? And all of this is so accessible and so easy. When are they, or I guess they can't, like, similar to the big corporates, it's such a big beast, the schooling system. They can't just roll with the times, like potentially we can in an 8-man business, right? They've got to be teaching them about critical thinking, and decision-making, and even the basics of your tax and mortgages and finances and how to use that. Relationships, I think that needs to be taught in schools more about how to actually treat people and how to, even sales should be a skill as well, how to influence people, how to negotiate. There's so much valuable critical skills that you could teach young people in primary school and throughout, which would then have net positive impacts when they come out of school because they can come in and plug in and play to the workforce rather than getting a kid who's been looking at algebra and whatever else for 18 years. And now we say, great, come and sell me this pen, or come and work in, a business where you've actually got to operate and function at a higher level to keep up.
It's going to be an interesting bloody time, mate.
Basically, Blake needs to be an AI enthusiast.
Oh yeah, I think we could sit here for days and talk about the outdated school system, but that's not us. No, I think we've covered a lot there, mate. Like, we've obviously gone the present day in business, how's tech affecting the world today? Try to give people an insight as to how we're using it in Harwell, because we're a relatively new business that's been born, I guess, and grown in this quite tech-heavy period of time. So hopefully, whether you're in recruitment or anywhere else as a startup business or an entrepreneur, maybe there's some things that we've done that you might be able to take away and implement in your business. And then, what's going to happen in the future? Again, we're looking at stats and predicting, but fuck, it's going to be an interesting time.
Yeah, I think it's going to blow out the water, everything that we've spoken about, to be fair. Like 10 years ago, you wouldn't have picked to be where we are now, would you?
No way. They're just 10x that stuff.
Mate, I've heard you got a few more questions for us. The Q&A is absolutely blowing up.
Yeah, I think I've got one. I think you got the other two. Let me find it. One was off the cost dog. The man that gets mentioned a lot on this podcast.
He's a great man.
Matt Cossins is the recruitment godfather. He's brutal. He's an absolute the conviction on the guy and his process is incredible. But he had a great one, and it wasn't recruitment focused, which is interesting. He wants us to unpack how we manage performance across all areas of our lives. So that's your family, your fitness, your health, work, kind of, etc. And then how do we integrate all of that together?
Good question. I think it's identity is what I'm going to go for. Like, it's not a choice anymore. It's just, that's Harvey Rivers runs on the Sundays. That's what he does. I go to Fitstop 5 a.m. Monday to Saturday. That's what I do. How you got to that point was probably seeing the pain of not doing it and rocking up to work a bit sluggish, feeling a bit crap, not being in the greatest shape of your life. So then you go and do the actions and do your fit stops, your runs, see what that gives you, and now you can't stop. Like, I was a bit crook last week, and today's the first day back in the gym. Feel $1 million. Like, beaming into the car, let's get stuck in. All those little decisions that you go, I don't want to make that call, or that's a bit scary. You come and have a sweaty fit stop session, you go, let's absolutely have it all. Like, you take on the world.
I think it bleeds into that habit stacking, right? 66 days for a human to create a new habit. And I guess when we're looking at those pillars of your, fitness being your exercise, health, I think being more like well-being and health, like mental health, family, work. I think if you can go, here's 2 new habits I'm going to implement today in family and health, make them part of your identity, and then go and add 2 more in work. So it's that, rather than try and change your whole world in just one foul swoop, can you do it gradually over time? And then I think there's also the discussion of, there probably isn't the perfect balance all of the time. We talk a lot about like mini sprints, like the start of this year, losing a couple of staff members, bringing them on, wanting to continue to grow. We're running up to my second child arriving. It was always going to be a sprint. So then, second child comes, I can take the 2-3 weeks off, and then my family kind of cup is getting filled up. So it's kind of balancing them all and going in different phases.
And we definitely haven't got it cracked.
No,
right? We definitely haven't got it sorted, that's for sure. But we're giving it a go.
Especially if you ask our partners.
Mate, this one's from Louis. This is a really good one.
Louis.
Louis Scally, absolute friend of the pod. If you have the power to change one event in your life, can be business related or personal life, what would it be and why?
Fuck.
He's ChatGPT, that for sure.
Yeah. I don't scale. That's a tough question. One event. The answer I jump to, I think the way I'll present the answer has some positive outcomes, but I do think the experience taught us a lot of other things. So I worry about the trade-off. But the one I jump to is not going down the route of professional football.
Yeah.
I think you have the blinkers on. It's the only way, and you don't think enough about life beyond that. I guess the reason I jumped to it is because I think we started this recruitment journey at 25, 26, and now 28, 29 in the business world. If I didn't have that professional football journey, what I go to is, could we have started that sooner? At 20, 21, would we have started the recruitment journey? Would we be 6 years into Harwell? No, it's a cop-out, because I think the world was very different then, but I worry about the time I lost following that dream of professional football. But then at the same time, we talk so much about how it's impacted us in many ways of high performance, resilience. So it probably contradicts, but that's the thing my brain kept going back to.
That's it. Yeah, you bang on, right? Because it was all we wanted to be until 1920. So what if you channel all that energy, enthusiasm to something else? But I do think it's our superpower. I do think if we hadn't have done that and we had gone and worked in a sales role at recruitment early on, and then we just ended up at Harwell all these years later, I think we'd just not just be another recruitment agency, but that level of intensity that we've got and the competitiveness, we wouldn't be anywhere near what we've got.
It's so hard because I think back and like on a more personal level, like because of the football journey, we missed out on so much. Like I've never been to really a proper music festival in my life because like not a 3-day because they're always in the summer. And by the time the music festival season starts in England, your pre-season started. So you miss out on a lot, but then it's the trade-off of you don't achieve all of this and you can't have it both ways. What's yours?
I struggle with this because I'm kind of pretty at peace with all the decisions that we've made. Like that's what's got us where we are. One of the quotes I really enjoy is "I'm all for tea." Right? Life happens for you, it doesn't happen to you. Like everything. Yeah, I know that's a good one. That's from Michael Gelati, that one.
Got that?
Bit of daily stoic.
Tattooed anywhere?
I will get that one tattooed. So I kind of just take the good with the good and get over the bad.
If you had to pick one.
Yeah, okay. One thing I'd change right now, let me reread the question to myself. One event in your life. 'Cause I was going to say be closer to family, but that's probably a bit of a cop-out because I don't think that's an event, is it?
No.
I think I would have been more present with family during my earlier teenage years.
Why?
Probably a bit of escapism.
Yeah.
Like I always used to go out and hang out with mates, play football, have a few beers, like during the more middle-aged teenage years, just to get out of the house. That wasn't the greatest place to be. You know what I mean? It was kind of more of a bit of a base rather than, not a home because that makes it sound like it was real bad, but it was a bit easier if you weren't there, you know, for me. So just being out, probably didn't then spend as much time with mum and sister as I could have or should have because you always think you've got time. You know, you always think, yeah, well, I'll just do that next year, especially when you're younger, right? You don't really have the concept of time. You think life's going to last forever and nothing's ever going to change. I'm 19, I'm moving to Australia and now I've seen them 4 times in the last 10 years, you know? Yeah. So there's no way I could have had that level of awareness when I was 14 going through all that stuff.
It's difficult, isn't it?
But a bit more wiser and grey hair now, it'd be, just be more present and look for reasons to stick around the house rather than just take not the easy option out, but just to, a bit more present.
It's difficult because I said with my answer, although that's the one thing I go to, I think it's made us the people we are and taught us that. Do you think that experience of home, not necessarily being an unhappy place, but not feeling like that perfect family or that home, do you think that's also got a big contributor to kind of you as what you like today?
So not because of that. I think the fact I was then out the house a lot, I think I grew up very quick as a kid and I've always been quite mature for my age. Because I've socially, I've been in so many environments and situations and we moved out of home when we were 16. I think that's had a massive impact. That some people you meet and they're quite sheltered in life. You know, they might have lived at home till they're 25 and then their mum's bought them a house. Good on you. Like awesome and great. Your parents can do that for you. That's not the upbringing we had. You kind of had to not fend for yourself, you know, like killing what we eat kind of thing. But you knew what resources were available and then you made very, very good use of what you had to you. So I've never, ever wished anything different. I think it's so powerful to know you can rely on yourself at a young age. And then that's, you know, how things have worked out here, right? You move across the other side of the world. You can't just go, mum can have a tenner because I've spent all my money on beers. If you don't work, you don't pay rent. And if you don't pay rent, you haven't got a house. Like, you kind of live or die by your own decisions, which I think is quite powerful. And I think coming into business, we always speak about that victim v. victor mentality, right? You have not got time to be a victim when you've got no money in your bank, you're on the other side of the world and it's just you. You just haven't got time for it. Otherwise you'd be crying under the bridge where you're sleeping. You know, you've got to just kind of just get on with it and find a way.
Yeah. Fuck me. We cover everything on this podcast. Top level comedy.
We are top tier.
We give them everything.
Mate, the last one was from Azza, who is probably the most intense bloke I've ever met.
This guy, if you asked ChatGPT to draw high performance and elite mindset, I reckon it will give you a picture of Azza.
Yeah. So he's the CEO of Barger Group, which, am I explaining that right?
Yeah, Barger Family Office,
Yeah.
which is a combination of companies like your Loop, Logics, Arc Projects, etc.
Very good guy. Kind of looks after us a little bit as well in terms of the high level mentoring. Like we sit down with him, pick his brain. He's done a lot in the world, so he's really good for us, and he just wants us to win. People like that are absolutely crucial. But as this question, mate, I
reckon I know what this is going to be about.
Yeah. How have we built a high performing team, one that aligns with our drive, energy, and output?
Good question. I think we've learned a lot about how to do this more recently. I feel like with the last, our process now is a lot more kind of on. Early on, we probably didn't paint the picture right. We painted the perfect picture and probably expected people just to be as naturally motivated and want to win as much as what we did. But not everyone's like that. I think we really nailed one. I think it's learning the why and really learning the mission of what we're on. Maybe we thought we were a lifestyle business at the start, and we probably were. Now that's not the case. So I think it's being so open and honest with those people around what the good times look like, what the bad times look like, where are we going? And we had feedback from a couple of people that, yes, it was just let's be as good as we can, but we didn't know the direction. So it's really kind of selling that direction as a business, but also what the direction we want people to go on as individuals. Like we're as passionate about growing people as individuals as much as we are about growing the business. So I think it's really nailing what that story and picture looks like and then presenting it with the whole warts and all, and learning to walk away from people that don't fit the mold. And also the business will outgrow people as some people will outgrow the business. So it's just understanding that that's just a period of life. And if you can get it right 80% of the time, I think you're on the right track.
You're bang on. I think a big thing for what you've just said there is we really had to get to grips with who we are as leaders and as a business, right? I think when we first went around and brought on a few people, we didn't have the track record. We didn't really know what we were, and we were changing a lot by bringing those people on. We're gone from a team of 2 to a team of 4, and then we're going to 7. Right? So we didn't really know what it was going to be like. We didn't know how we were going to lead, how we were going to manage. Now, a year later from that, we've got a very, very clear idea of how we operate in the business and how we kind of show up, and then what people are going to work well in that environment too, which is only fair to people. I think back then it was so unfair because, it's going to be great. Like, we'll, work really hard, make loads of money and like have loads of fun and stuff. That's what we have. We don't have any context to go, but these are the expectations. This is where people have done well. This is where they might have kept up short. This is how we're going to help you. Systems and processes, we didn't even have those in place really. So now people walk into here and it's a pretty schmick setup in terms of, okay, great. This is week 1. This is week 2. This is your expectation. This is what we require from you. So people are set up for success a lot more now. And I think going back to the interview process is because it's a lot more thorough. We give people so many opportunities to deselect throughout the way. If they get a feeling where we are a bit intense, they're asking me some pretty invasive questions about, what books am I reading? Does that mean I have to start reading books? Yeah, maybe it does. Great. That's actually not for me. Rather than just a one stage, hey, we love you love us. Do you want to join the team? People can make a lot more considered decision about us.
Yeah, and I think we're very guilty sometimes. We were quite guilty of, say, we look at the present day and we go, okay, it's easy to us because we've been on this journey and we know what to do. But telling people that journey so that you can build the expectation, because I think we probably had people coming in through the door. We probably made it look like it was too easy. And then when they weren't hitting the figures we were hitting, they didn't understand why. Whereas actually, if we told the journey of, hey, this is ads on day 2000, day 3000, and days 0 to 1800 were just pure graft, numbers, hustle, doors slammed in the face. To get to that 177k period, it's not luck. It's fucking 7 years of absolute graft, whatever it is now. And I think if we communicated that, or company looking to hire communicate that from the start, it just builds a much more realistic picture for people to come in. And there, I think, along with the thorough process where people deselect themselves, that's where you really find your people who are, back to Az's question, in line with your values, performance levels, and business. Yeah,
sort of nutshell, I think it's finding out what they are for you, what are your values, what's your energy, what are your drives, and then being able to articulate that in the right way. One for your actions, but also for your words.
Yeah, done.
Mate, we covered everything there. That's been a cracker. Tech, AI, childhood trauma, fucking
Yeah. John Lennon.
John Lennon, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Running the Marathon Man, new merch, branding. Mate, that was good. Who we got coming on this week?
Yeah, next episode is super impressive fella. He was an ex-NRL player, come through the similar kind of professional sporting background to us. So I'm keen to kind of dig into that, see if he's probably taken away the same lessons as what we did. But now he's also stepped into business on the Gold Coast, and within his sector, he is really a true Gold Coast leader.
Strap in.
Let's go.